Hi, welcome to the F1 Time Portal, a Formula One history podcast started by two captivating Formula One fans. I'm your host, Rosa.
And I'm your cold as ice host, Luigi. And today we're taking you back to the 1977 season, part 7 and final episode of the race review. So let's go.
Oh, that's a big call, Louis, that it's going to be the last. We might get sidetracked into an argument.
I know. Yeah, let's see. Let's see if that holds up.
Cold as ice. Ooh, I know that song. I do know that song.
I do know that song.
Cold as ice. Now, but I don't know who sings it.
I can't remember who sings it either, but the song is chosen for this particular episode because of what is coming. And I'll make reference to it when the time comes. You'll probably know it too. So, yes.
Cold as ice. Let's see who sang it. Foreigner.
Oh, there you go.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's Foreigner.
There you go. Yeah, Foreigner. Okay.
There you go. Okay. So we're up to the 15th race of the season out of 17 races, 3 races to go. It's at Watkins Glen, October the 2nd, 59 laps, and the weather is cold and wet. So with the European leg of the season over, we head to the US track where Hunt was very quickly setting the pace.
Yes, he was very dialed in and he's hoping his car can keep up with him this time. As the drivers settled onto the track and improving their car setups, Hunt was regularly the leading driver.
And so it was, because he secured pole by nearly 0.3 of a second ahead of a determined Stuck in the Brabham. Watson was third, then Andretti and a surprising Peterson in the 6-wheeled Tyrrell, finding that his car had decent pace on this track.
Yes, his substandard tyres perhaps were doing well here. Reutemann was the leading Ferrari in 6th, followed by Lauda. The other championship contender, Jody Scheckter, was in 9th.
Oh, so they really weren't up there, were they? So on race day, the weather was very uncertain. And while it was not a downpour, it was like intermittently drizzling, which made tyre choice quite tricky. Wet or dry tyres, they didn't know.
So as the cars lined up on the grid, everyone was on wets, except the third placed and many considered very bold and brave Watson in his Brabham. He was on dry tyres.
I'm not surprised. He's going to retire anyway with a blown engine or something anyway. So why not roll the dice, you know? So at race start, because Watson was within range of Hunt, because I think he was third, Hunt generated too much wheel spin and it was Stuck who slithered into the lead. The rest of the field was pretty much not visible due to the huge rain spray.
By the end of the first lap, Stuck was not only in the lead but visibly extending it as he took full advantage of the clear track ahead of him. Hunt was in second place, intentionally holding back to avoid the worst of the spray and perhaps get some visibility. Andretti was up into third place.
And Reutemann was fourth, then Peterson, Lauda, Scheckter and the rest. Watson, meanwhile, on his dry tyres, had slipped right to the back of the field. In the lead, Stuck kept pulling away, and even when he lost his clutch from lap 3, this made little impact on his progress.
By lap 15, Stuck was still convincingly leading, but suddenly his car jumped out of gear, and this caused him to spin off the track, and without a clutch, he was unable to restart his car. He was out.
Poor guy. And I'm sure that
First
jumping
time
out of
leading
gear.
a race.
I know. And he had it. I think he probably had it. Lap 15 as well. So this allowed Hunt to move into the lead, and he was comfortably ahead of Andretti and Scheckter, who was next. And by this stage, Scheckter had charged up to third. Remember, he was in like 8th or 9th with Lauda. So he knows how Lauda only needs 1 point. Well, he's got to win. He's got to win everything.
Yes. Impressively, Regazzoni in his ensign was 6th, up from 19th on the grid. He's doing well in these conditions.
Yeah. There's not a great deal of drama in this race. And other than Peterson, as his wide Tyrrell was having some challenges on the track, while Nielsen pulled up on the main straight to land a pass on the Tyrrell, Peterson nudged him off into the grass, causing Nielsen to spin out of the race Peterson apparently had not seen him. Now, I'm calling this a questionable situation
Why did you say wide Tyrrell in quotes?
because he was making his car wide.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, then I also agree that that was, yeah, a not just a racing
Questionable.
incident. Yes, I think
Yeah.
so. I mean, it was terrible conditions, but you don't make your car wide by just staying in the one spot, do you? You're weaving.
Yeah,
You're
and
moving.
they ban weaving nowadays on the
They
straight,
do.
but you
That's
can only do
right.
one move.
One move, exactly. So, yeah, you don't get a wide car by nothing. So funnily enough, the following Ligier saw all of this. So with more caution, he made his attempt to pass Peterson, and a few laps later, he was through into 6th place.
Well, good on him for watching and learning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're talking about a routine pass for 6th here, right? Why? Why? Because from the halfway mark onwards, the race was processional, just like the Italian Grand Prix was like in the second half.
So the only real drama was Hunt carefully managing his water temperature rising and tyre issues. Poor Hunt. He's having a bad year after his championship year, and his 15-second lead ahead of Andretti was quickly shrinking. Andretti himself was also managing his own tyre issues, but by the last lap, the gap was down to 3 seconds.
But Hunt had it in hand. He was well informed of the progress of the Lotus, and he held on to win by 2 seconds. 1 minute later, Scheckter came third, Lauda was fourth, and Regazzoni in fifth.
Yeah, so with this relatively dull, boring, and quite short race review, Lauda secures the 1977 World Championship. Good on him.
Thank you very much.
And see you later, sayonara.
Yeah.
So Lauda, wins the championship. He's on 72 points. Andretti's second on 47, having overtaken Scheckter. Schecter's in third on 46, and Reutemann is fourth on 36. Hunt is fifth on 31. So, yeah, nowhere near it. Ferrari takes out the constructors with 89 points. Lotus is second on 62, and McLaren just ahead of Wolff on 47 by 1 point.
Okay. So we'll go to the next race because we have some drama. So it's race 16 of the season, the Canadian Grand Prix, second to last race of the year. It's at Mosport, held on the 9th of October, 80 laps and overcast but dry. So this race has two sets of drama. The first being that many drivers were not happy with the safety standards of the circuit. And at one point, there was a concern that the race would be boycotted. That's how serious it was. So luckily, this was averted.
The other big news involved Lauda. He was furious that Ferrari had suddenly sacked the chief engineer, Ermanno Cugi. It seems he was trying to decide whether to stay with Ferrari or follow Lauda to Brabham. So, yeah, that's a big move.
Yeah, so Ferrari sacked him after practice at Watkins Glen. So Enzo helped the decision-making process.
Yeah, how about we help you with this decision,
we see
Ermanno?
you're struggling with this one, so let us help you. Lauda was also infuriated that Ferrari were planning on running 3 cars, and he felt he would not get the attention he would need from the team.
Wow. So again, Ferrari is disrespecting their number one driver. I mean, I have to say though, Lauda's already won the championship. So what did he need support for? But I think he was just angry with Ferrari. You could just tell Ferrari couldn't do anything right at this point. Although what they did with Ermanno Cugi was very wrong. But so just like that. I don't know it's just like that, but after 4 years with Ferrari, Lauda left. So that's where the name of this episode comes from. Revenge is a dish best served cold.
And
it would later emerge
cold as ice.
Yes, very good.
Lauda's done another finger to Ferrari.
He does.
Pretty much.
This is a big dog. This is like a big dog move.
This is bigger than the other one.
Yes.
The announcement to go to Brabham. Yeah.
Yes. So it would later come out, as we've said and as we've speculated a little bit, it would later come out that Lauda was very unhappy ever since his 76 accident in Germany.
Yeah. When they pretty much wrote him off as passed away.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
already
that's right.
they were so quick to get Reutemann's signature before they even knew if Lauda was going to be okay, you know? So Lauda, you know, it was all basically all to that one incident. So
That's right.
yeah.
I mean, Reutemann was a difficult teammate at the best of times. So I'm sure the Canadian Grand Prix organisers were not thrilled to lose the reigning champion for this race and be left with Reutemann, who no one really liked, I don't think. Poor Reutemann. Like, I think they did like him, but I think they had a soft spot for Lauda, didn't they?
Well, yeah, and Lauda's a winner. People like winners, and Reutemann hasn't. Reutemann has won a race or races. He has won races. He's won one race with Ferrari so far, I think, this season. Yeah, he did. So, sliding doors moment, or should I say, this was going to happen anyway, maybe. It's just a matter of when, not if. But it happened a little earlier in 77 than maybe most people expected. But Jules Villeneuve, having impressed so much at the British Grand Prix in the McLaren M23, was recruited to Ferrari.
And this is the start of the Villeneuve-Ferrari legend.
Why didn't they recruit Jones?
Yeah, I don't know.
Jones was spectacular.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah, but I think they saw something in Villeneuve, though. I think they saw something.
I mean, did Jones have an ongoing contract with Shadow, though? We don't know, though. And Villeneuve wasn't signed with anyone at this point. I'm surprised no one picked him up. But, yeah, so there you go. And like we said, I think that's a good move for Villeneuve. I think this is a good sliding doors moment to not have been signed by McLaren. I mean, really, Ferrari is the biggest team doing well-ish on the grid at the moment.
Well, they've won. You would arguably say they should have won all the drivers' championships from 74 to 77. They didn't. They won 2 out of the 4, but still. Yeah.
I agree. Yes.
So when practice started, Andretti was very quickly in a zone and ahead of the 76 pole time set by Hunt. But Hunt was not too far behind but everyone else was. So these two were just in another league.
So unfortunately, during practice here, there was a major accident involving Ian Ashley in the Obex oil-sponsored Hesketh. His car suddenly launched going up a hill, somersaulted, flew over the guardrail and smashed against a high television camera tower.
Ashley suffered broken wrists and ankles, and it took 40 minutes to release him from the wreckage, even with the help of fellow driver Jochen Mass. And it took another 40 minutes for a helicopter to arrive to give him medical attention.
Yeah, this would end his career, unfortunately, for Ashley. And it caused major safety concerns again, as the organisers finally conceded to fix some of the shortcomings at the track.
Yeah. So to qualifying, Andretti secured a dominant pole with a time of 1 minute 11.4, with Hunt only getting within 0.6 of a second in his McLaren. Peterson was having another good showing and qualified third, but he was 1.4 seconds behind Andretti. That just shows the gaps that were behind. And Nielsen was fourth in the other Lotus.
So, to the race start, Andretti launched into an immediate and undisputed lead, leaving Hunt to fend off Nielsen in the second Lotus. There was a lot of jostling on that first lap, with Regazzoni being the only real incident, spinning out due to apparent contact with another car.
And by the end of the first lap, Andretti was setting a blistering pace up front, with Hunt doing his best to hold on. Mass had by now passed Nielsen to move up to third. Behind Nielsen, in no Satal formation, were Patrese. In an amazing 5th place, up from 8th on the grid. Both his qualifying was great and his current position even better. Depailler, Peterson, Watson, Jones, Scheckter, and then Reutemann.
Up front, Andretti and Watson were pulling away from Muss at a rate of about a second per lap. The attention turned to the following group with some shuffling going on. The Tyrrells were taking the attention as Depailler moved up to 4th, and Peterson was again demonstrating his Watkins-Glen tricks by overly aggressive defensive driving. Wow.
Well, he's struggling with that Tyrrell where the front wheels are just not being loved by Goodyear anymore. So,
yes.
but this time Peterson forced Watson onto the curbs, when trying to make a pass, which caused Watson to bend his front suspension and ultimately retire. So he was in the points again, but these things happen to Watson.
Yes. Yep. I think you're right. I think he is the 1970s Moss. So this left Scheckter to ponder how he could get past the Tyrrell without being pushed off as well.
That's not a good sign. So the Tyrrell was very fast on the straight, but all over the place on the corners, it seems. So I don't know if that's intentional or if that's just the car having bad handling. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So there was now quite a queue forming behind Peterson, and eventually Scheckter did scramble past on lap 7, and he was now on a charge, and he quickly dispatched Patrese and was now on Nielsen's tail.
Nielsen, seeing the oncoming Scheckter, pushed to get ahead of Depailler, but before long, Scheckter also dispatched Depailler and was back on Nielsen's tail.
So there's lots of drama here, excluding the leaders. So, because remember, the leaders are just in another league by the sounds of it.
Yes.
And would crash about this time due to a sticking throttle cable.
Nielsen did?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And about this time, there was an incident with Binders. Who's Binder? Binders Surtees and Keegan's Hesketh. Who are these people? Which caused both cars to be badly damaged. And we mention this because Keegan sustained a broken ankle.
Yeah. So the halfway mark of the race, Andretti was still leading, with Hunt maintaining very close contact. Mass and Scheckter, while quite some way behind, were established in 3rd and 4th place. And further back was a huge battle for 5th between Depailler, Patrese, Brambilla and Jones.
The race reached a lull until lap 61 of an 80-lap race when Andretti and Hunt came up to lap Muss's 3rd place McLaren. As Andretti pulled out to overtake Muss, probably on the outside, the German stuck to his racing line, and this caused the leader to nearly spin off.
Wow. Remember, Mass is Hunt's teammate, right?
Yes.
So just flagging that. So this loss of momentum was all Hunt needed to get alongside Andretti, and the two accelerated up the hill, with Hunt finally taking the lead. However, it was only a minute later that joy turned to despair due to a misunderstanding between Hunt and his teammate Mass.
Oh no. At turn 3, Muss moved to the outside of the corner and indicated to Hunt to go through on the inside. Issue though, Hunt himself had committed to the outside line, caused contact, and both McLarens spun.
Talk about a disaster.
What? That's number 1 rule. Don't take out your teammate.
Yeah, I mean, Mass tried. He tried, right?
He did try, yes.
Hunt would end up on the barriers, out on the barriers. He must have launched a bit, while Mass was able to continue. Hunt was furious, and in his anger, when a marshal tried to console him, he pushed the marshal down. He immediately apologised, but it cost him a $2,000 fine and a further $750 fine for walking on the inside of the barriers. Assuming that this is US dollars, this is about $14,000 in 2025 money.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's his temper again. So with less than 20 laps to go, Andretti could now ease up, so much so that he even let Scheckter unlap himself. So kind. Back to the 60s, that's what used to happen. Until with just 3 laps to go, Andretti's development Cosworth engine would blow, leaving Andretti to coast to the pits and retire. Wow.
You know, I'm still wondering, what team would you join if you were Lauda? They're all having reliability issues. He had to pick one. He knew he couldn't stay at Ferrari. So Andretti could not believe his luck, but this caused a new set of dramas as Andretti's Lotus left an oil slick on the track, and seconds later, Patrese would be the first to spin off and smash into Keegan's abandoned Hesketh.
Oh, wow. Then Brambilla, who was duelling with Depailler for second place, was also caught out, and he then spun into Patrese's abandoned Shadow. No wonder they don't leave abandoned cars on the track anymore, Luigi. Luckily, Patrese was already safely out of the car when that happened.
So with all this going on, the top 3 suddenly looked very different, and Scheckter would unexpectedly win the race. I don't even recall him sort of leading, but, everyone just Hunt, Andretti. So Scheckter would unexpectedly win the race, his 3rd of the season though, Some credit for, that. Followed by Depailler in the Tyrrell and Mass, funnily enough, in the McLaren third,
Wow.
which you could almost say he took out 2 cars.
Yes,
and
that's
gave
right.
himself third as a reward. So, yeah.
Yeah, some new names there. Jones would finish 4th, Tombe in the Ensign impressive 5th, and Brambilla, the Gorilla, was classified as 6th despite his retirement.
So lots of drivers must have retired for him to be laps down and probably still get 6th. I don't know how many laps down it is, but I'll look it up while you're looking up the points.
So Lauda is on 72, Scheckter 2nd on 55, Andretti 3rd on 47, and Reutemann 4th on 36. Ferrari's on 89, Lotus on 62, Wolff is on 55, still keeping ahead of the McLaren on 51.
Okay, and Brambilla was 2 laps down.
Okay, all right.
In 6th place. So we're up to the last race of the season. Obviously, there was no Lauda in that race.
No.
So, in case you were wondering where did Lauda finish. So up to the last race of the season, the Japanese Grand Prix, race 17 of 17. The place, remember they had their first ever Japanese Grand Prix last year, and that was an unbelievable title decider, but now it's just a race for pride.
A race. It's not even Yeah.
So it's at Fuji, October 23, 73 laps, and the weather is warm and sunny. So in 1976, as I mentioned, we had that championship decider. Now that the defending champion or the reigning champion was not attending, double champ Fittipaldi team felt they were better off developing their car, which is a good idea. And Renault, Williams and Hesketh also chose not to participate. And those that did, some attended with less cars and drivers. So this is like a bit of a dud attendance,
That's right. They've all done a Ferrari and said, nah, we're not going, nothing in it for us. We're out. We're gonna get a head start on next year. Right. Ligier, however, would for the first time field 2 cars. Good on them. They're thinking with half the field gone, we might as well put more cars in the field, so give us a better chance. So they invited Jarrier to join regular driver Lafitte, and with 3 Japanese drivers entering, we have 20 drivers to make this a race.
So Andretti, the winner of the 76 race, which most people don't remember due to the championship drama, and we barely remembered when we went through the race review.
Right.
He was again in the zone on this track.
Yep, and he secured pole by only 0.1 of a 7-second ahead of Hunt, though. The second row was a welcome return to form by the Brabham team, with Watson 3rd and Stuck 4th. Lafitte would take 5th, Scheckter 6th, and Reutemann in 7th.
And when race day came around, temperatures were warm and dry, and most drivers started the race on what was designated as softs, although some drivers applied a chamfer cut on the inside of their left front tyre to reduce the rate of wear.
Right. So a chamfer cut is like a 45
degree. You didn't know what it was.
Cut.
You felt people needed to know. I'm joking. Of course no one knows. Sorry.
I don't know. Like if they said a beveled edge, I would have understood that. But yeah, it's like a beveled edge on the tyre. I wonder if that would help with understeer or oversteer. I don't know. But anyway, so Andretti had adopted this in practice and felt that it would make a difference during the race.
Yeah, interesting that they resorted to manipulating the tyres like that.
Tyres, yeah.
At race start, Hunt, anticipating the green, roared away into the lead. Andretti instead dropped his revs, and before he was properly underway, several cars went past him on either side, including Scheckter, Mass and Regazzoni. So Andretti ended the first lap in 8th place.
Wow. That is a nonsense start, I'm going to guess.
I think so. 8th from pole?
Yeah, that's
pretty bad.
Much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nonsense.
He's not known for that. He's probably a good starter normally. So, yeah, it's certainly an anomaly for him.
Yeah. Up front, Hunt had already extended his lead to about 3 or 4 car lengths, and this was helped as Scheckter found his second place with giving him all sorts of understeer problems. So that's early to have that issue.
Jarrier in the Ligier now was having engine issues, which would cause his retirement in a few laps. But before this, 3 other drivers were already out of the race, and this included Andretti and Lafitte. As Andretti tried to pass Lafitte on the outside, of the far side hairpin, they touched. What The American found himself squeezed out and their wheels touched. Like, surely you would learn by now, Andretti.
I think it's the ground effect giving him too much
Yes,
confidence, because the outside is a
confidence.
tricky place to be, but that
Yes,
ground
yes.
effect car was sucking him down, so he was going for it. But he's giving James Hunt justification for what happened earlier. Like, this is your fault. You put yourself there. So
Yes.
Andretti's car was badly damaged, and he actually bounced back onto the track, which then caused other drivers to have an off in trying to avoid making contact with the damaged Lotus.
So at a similar time, Villeneuve in the Ferrari missed his braking point at the end of the main straight and ran into the back of Peterson's Tyrrell. The Tyrrell was spinning off, minus his rear wing, while Villeneuve's Ferrari launched itself spectacularly over barriers.
Is this his debut race, or was the other race his debut Ferrari drive?
The other race was.
The other race was. Well, he's making himself noticed this time, because I don't think we mentioned him in the other race. So he mustn't have really been up there. But his car landed amongst the photographers and spectators. So while Villeneuve himself was unhurt, unfortunately, a marshal and photographer were killed instantly. And there were a number of serious injuries. So despite the track being littered with debris and ambulances, the race didn't stop.
Yeah, he finished 12th last race, Louis.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah.
And this is not a good race to remember. This is not a good race that he will remember either.
And again, we have no race black flagged here. So up front, Hunt was building more of a lead. And by lap 7, we're only on lap 7, Scheckter was unable to hold Musk back any longer. However, most of the attention focused on a large group of cars battling in the midfield, with all these drivers going for it hammer and tongs, mainly driven by Stuck and his understeering Brabham.
So Reutemann in his Ferrari got past when Stuck finally pitted to resolve his problems. So on lap 29, even more drama happened when Mass, in a distant second place, suddenly had his engine explode right by the pits. As we know, Rosa, these things happen by the pits. And there were also other retirements, which included Watson, of course.
Yes, lots of retirements. So this allowed Scheckter in his understeering Wolf to be back in second place. But his understeer was causing excessive tyre wear. Even I wonder if he had the beveled edge on his tyres as well. And sure enough, 6 laps later, Regazzoni in the Ensign demoted Scheckter back to 3rd, and Reutemann relegated him back to 4th.
And just a reminder to everyone, Hunt is leading this race. We haven't mentioned it for a while, but he's all on his own, right? The rest is where the action is. So the Ensign is on fire, and Tombé's last race, as we saw, and here is Regazzoni in second from 10th on the grid. So this Ensign is a good little performer. Unfortunately, his engine would blow soon after and he would be out. So Reutemann was now up to second place in the Ferrari. That second place spot has been changing all the time this race.
Yeah. Reutemann, funnily enough, was also having problems. He had tyre issues. And by lap 48, Lafitte in the Ligier forced his way through to second place. Like, second place is cursed in this race. Nielsen was also starting to close in on the podium positions, only to have gear selection issues stopping him and forcing his retirement.
This is quite confusing, so I'll clarify. We're now with 10 laps remaining. The leaderboard is now Hunt, Lafitte in second after 5 other drivers being in second before him, Reutemann, Jones, Depailler and Patrese.
Depailler wasn't done though. He had his high straight line speed and he passed Jones. Then on the last lap, Lafitte's Ligier suddenly ran out of fuel and ran dry a few hundred metres from the start-finish line.
Because he was in second. Because he was in second. That's the punishment.
Yes, but remember people getting out like Brabham and pushing his car over the finish line? Do you remember those days, Louis?
A few hundred metres.
A few hundred metres. I'm guessing he wouldn't have been allowed. To push his car over the start-finish line.
No, I don't think so, because I know in the 80s there are incidences where drivers ran out of fuel and pushed their cars over the line.
Really?
Yeah, so it is allowed, but I think a few hundred metres must have been too much, and he probably knew that the other cars were right behind him, so what's the point?
I reckon Brabham pushed his car 800 metres up a hill. Do you remember that?
Yeah, so
Yeah. He was Australian though,
yeah,
Gutsy.
Jones would have done it. Yeah.
Yeah.
so a surprise Reutemann took over second place, over 1 minute behind Hunt, and Depailler would take third. Jones would finish fourth, and Lafitte was actually classified as fifth despite that fuel running out incident, and Patrese would secure sixth.
So we've reached the end of the longest F1 season to date. So maybe 17 races is the longest we've ever had, according to you, Louis, when you wrote this. And the drama is not over. Hunt, in his eagerness to return to England, left without attending the prize-giving ceremony. So he
Just
won
like
the
half.
race,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he didn't turn up.
He couldn't be bothered, like some of the teams didn't be bothered turning up. And Reutemann, and this is even funnier, Reutemann did not appear on the winners' rostrum, so it was an embarrassed Depailler who took the accolades for third place.
Oh, wow. That is embarrassing. Well, I don't know if it was because of that, but the Japanese Grand Prix was not held again until 1987. So, yeah, that's 10 years. And it got shifted to the Suzuka circuit at that point in 87. So there had been a lot of talk of moving the race from Fuji to Suzuka for 78, but that never happened. And it would take 10 years for it to happen. So there you go.
It's really interesting that because Japan has a very big Formula One supporter base. And they had 10 years they had two races and a 10-year break.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
I know. And we've got to remember they had Honda. Honda had been on the grid for a long time. So, yeah, interesting that they didn't have a race now for a while. Okay, so the final points for the year, as we say, Lauda on 72, not having participated in the last three races. Scheckter second on 55, Andretti third on 47 in a season of what could have been for him, really. And Reutemann fourth on 42. Ferrari took out the constructors on 95, Lotus second on 62. McLaren ended up third on 60. That's a good recovery for them because Wolff fourth on 55.
Yeah, I mean, that McLaren won two of the last three, or Hunt won two of the last three races of the season. Yeah. So they came good at the end, right?
Yeah, so that's it.
That's a wrap, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Your thoughts, Louis?
Yeah, my thoughts were, some of the highlights to me was Scheckter winning on debut in the Wolff team. And he was a championship leader for the first half of the season until he had 4 races in a row with no points. That pretty much ended his potential to challenge. And I also found it intriguing the ebbs and flows of the teams. Like there was even a stage when in the middle of the season, Brabham were just so hot, but you couldn't keep Watson off the front row. And he kept leading, but he didn't even win a race. But he should have, that's right. And then we had the Andretti domination era. He actually won 4 races. And just very quickly, I worked out he should have actually won 8.
Yes.
And this probably should have been his championship, in all honesty. If Lotus didn't have such unreliability, I know Andretti did make that one obvious mistake when he ran into the back of Reutemann, but he had 8 wins in the bag. He would have easily been champion. But the inconsistency of Wolff and Brabham and Lotus just handed it to Lauda because he was just super consistent. And I'll make a quick last comment about that in a second. But I also want to acknowledge we had brief domination from Lafitte and the Ligier. That second-year team started to really become strong.
Yes.
We had Nielsen's first win, Jones's first win, standout drives from Villeneuve, Patrese and Tombe, so I'll remember those. But with all this going on, super consistent Lauda, he was reliable and reliable in an exciting way, not in a Dennis Hulme way.
Oh, come on.
So, and this would be a hallmark of his driving going forward. Ever since his accident in 76, he becomes one of those consistent, exciting, reliable drivers.
Yeah, it's interesting what could have been in terms of Lauda and his confidence and the way he drove if he hadn't had that accident. I think it did affect him going forward, and it takes him a while to get back to perhaps some of his pre-accident driving style, perhaps. I know, because he does go into the 80s, doesn't he? So yeah, that is interesting. I agree with you. I think Andretti should have won this season. If you look at his results, he had 3 retirements and a ninth position, all from pole position. So he arguably should have won those races if that Lotus had been just a tad more reliable. He definitely had the car to do it. Like whenever he finished first. He won one, two,
He
three,
won
four
4
races.
races. He won
Yeah.
more than
And he
Lauda. Lauda won 3.
that's
And one of
exactly
those, I think, was inherited from Andretti,
from Andretti. Exactly. So
or more, maybe more. I can't remember.
yeah. So yeah, I sort of feel Andretti's sort of come in from the cold a little bit. He's kind of committed to Formula One a bit more this season. And yeah, he probably should have won it, I guess. He would probably have been and it would have been a very exciting duel between him and Lauda. In the end, Lauda didn't really have a competitor, really,
No,
a
he didn't.
consistent competitor for this season.
And let's not forget, Lauda didn't participate in the last 2 races voluntarily, and one race he didn't race in because he had that injury with the rib.
That's
So he did
right.
3 races
Yeah.
he didn't even take the starting line,
That's right.
and he
Yes,
still
and he
won
won.
despite all the retirements of everyone else. But I did disagree with you on one thing. You said Andretti needed a tad more reliability. He needed a
Yes.
lot more reliability,
Yeah,
not a tad.
Fair enough, fair enough. I'll give you that. Scheckter also had really bad reliability. I think you called it out. He had a really good start to the season in that Wolf and then a really good end to the season. But the middle of the season, he had like 5 retirements. So yeah, again, it's a season of what could have beens, but I'm glad. Look, and I reckon we should do some big dog top tens because Lauda would be right up there. And good
Oh,
on
he
him.
did.
Like
He did 2 this year, just 2 this year. Was it 2 or more than 2?
no, he announced his retirement at
Transfer
Monza.
to Brabham. Yeah,
Well,
that's
yeah,
one. And the 2 was, I'm not turning up anymore. I'm out of
I'm
here.
not. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So, and that was, he does a few big dog moves in 76 as well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And would you call it a big dog move when Hunt decided not to join the podium celebrations at the last race? That was like a bit of a, not a big dog, but I just don't care.
I just don't care. Yeah,
Season's
I'm not going to
over.
go. I've finished 5th on the championship.
Yeah, I won 2 of the last 3 races. I should have won this championship in his mind.
Yeah, yeah. He was just nowhere. I don't know. I mean, he did have a lot of retirements as well, I guess, in that McLaren. McLaren went missing.
He got 3 wins.
He got 3 wins, but then when they didn't do well, they really didn't do well. They didn't have any other podium or points finishes, really. It was like 12th and 7th.
Yeah.
So,
and let's not forget, Andretti took him out at one of those races when they were 1 and 2. So who knows if he could. I think Andretti probably would have won that race, not Hunt, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that's one of the 8 that I think Andretti should have won. So, yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting TP, won't it? Because there's a lot of should have. We're saying a lot of shoulda, woulda, couldas, and we haven't.
This is a TP I can't pick. I'm thinking Andretti's probably going to get it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I think's going to happen.
Maybe Scheckter or Andretti. But yeah, interesting.
And Watson.
Yeah,
I mean,
Watson.
He's in no man's land, but he was leading so many races. I think he's going to be outperforming his championship position.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Well, Watson ended up 13 with 9 points. So yeah, given how much we talked about him, and we only talk about the drivers at the start of in the lead of the races, he ended up nowhere. Exactly.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I think,
all right.
Good season. Not as exciting as 76, but still a good season. We never wrapped up that other comment. You know, he had that fancy word. We keep forgetting.
Enthralling. We keep forgetting. I don't know.
I don't think the race was enthralling. I don't think it was.
No, I'm going to say none of the words really matched this season at all. Like, it wasn't that interesting. I mean, it was interesting, but for very different reasons. It was interesting because what we thought should have happened didn't happen.
Yeah, we missed a lot of good races because of the retirements, a lot.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. So 78, well, we're doing our TP. We've already talked about that. And then 78, Louis. I think 78 is I think that's another big year for
It's a big
Formula One.
year. It's memorable to a
Yes,
lot of people for different
yes,
reasons. Let's see.
different reasons, yes. So we'll be back for that one soon enough.
But the TP's next. Enjoy. This will be a good TP to listen to, I think, because of the variability.
Yes. All right. See ya, everyone.
Okay.
See you next
Bye.
time. Bye.